When people are dying, it's not unusual for them to hold on with remarkable strength until someone special comes to be with them. A son, a daughter, a close friend. Doesn't always happen, but when it does, you can almost hear the person join in the prayer uttered by Simeon in the gospel today. Now, Lord, you can dismiss your servant. Several years ago, a priest friend was dying, and I was not there, but people were around the bedside. And if you've had the experience, people sometimes say to the dying patient, "It's okay to go. We'll be okay. Just let go." And the priest, who hadn't opened his eyes for some time, opened it, looked at him, and said to them, I'm trying. The way that Luke tells the story today, Simeon was promised that he would not die until he saw the anointed of the Lord, the Christ. When he sees Jesus, Simeon takes the baby in his arm and prays, "Now, Master, you can dismiss your servant in peace. You have fulfilled your word." Let's look into the background of today's feast, the presentation of the Lord, and more specifically into its message and meaning. Luke's gospel emphasizes over and over again that Mary and Joseph are faithful to the Jewish law. And there was an ancient tradition that all first fruits of the harvest and of the womb belonged to the Lord. It reflected a belief that all life, all creation, is a gift from God. And specifically, all firstborn sons were to be presented to the Lord in the temple. It was the common practice for the parents to present the child in a religious ceremony, in a sense, redeem him back, purchase him back with a small offering. And Luke ties the presentation with the purification of Mary. Again, in Jewish custom, a woman was considered unable to join in temple exercises for a period of time after giving birth. And when the time had elapsed, she went to the temple to be restored to temple worship. And it's within the context of presentation and purification that Simeon and Anna offer their prayers. In a sense, Luke presents this as another epiphany, another revelation or manifestation of who the child Jesus really is. Simeon declares that his eyes have seen the Lord's saving deed, displayed for all to see. He talks about a revealing light to the Gentiles, the glory of your people Israel. In the early church, this feast took on a special meaning as a feast of light. They would all often have processions with candles to talk about the light piercing the darkness. If you're of a certain age, you remember that this was called Candlemas Day. The candle mass, just like it's Christmas. How might we see this feast as speaking to us here and now? In the East, this feast is sometimes called the meeting, reflecting the meeting of Simeon and Anna and Christ. Perhaps this can be a reminder that we are also invited to meet Christ. We meet him in the word that we just heard, the sacraments that we celebrate, and in the other that we encounter. On this feast of the revealing light, on this feast on which candles are blessed to overcome the darkness, may we see the invitation that all of us have to be a light to overcome the darkness. What's going on in your life, in the life of others, in the life of our community that is overshadowed in a type of darkness? It could be illness, physical or psychological. It could be a sense of helplessness or hopelessness. Do we see the power of darkness at work in our community or in our country, in which we can raise a candle of hope, a candle that proclaims that all life is sacred and precious, whether it's a dying person, an unborn child, or a family in dire poverty. Today, let us present ourselves to the Lord. Let us offer to let the light of Christ into our lives, and let us pray that we can be the instruments that bring his light into the lives of others.